Howdy, folks. Windy City Thetan Watch. Tonight we're in the studio, live in the studio. We're going to do a speed run of this weekend's um audits down at the Scientology building. So we were down at Scientology Chicago. This weekend was Lollapalooza in Chicago. So there was some expectation that we would see people out trying to body route or sidewalk recruit in or about or amongst the Lollapalooza crew. We actually didn't see much there, but there was some activity at the org, and actually a lot of activity on Saturday. We saw an awful lot of people there, both publics and staff, as well as we had some interactions. I thought some very interesting interactions on Sunday, just as we arrived at the org and started getting everything shut down. You should see that I've got a pinned comment tonight, and that pinned comment is that we're going to redirect straight over to Declared Dave. He's going to do a little show and tell on levels OT level 1 and level 2. So, and I'm going to try to join him and see if I can be a good student in the course. What else do we have? If you're new here, welcome. Please subscribe. If you've been here for a while, check your subscription. Make sure that you're still subscribed. Every once in a while, I'll see a couple subscriptions bleed off, and it might just be out of inactivity or something of that nature. Please like, subscribe, share if you can. I also get to show you a new intro video. So the intro video, let's go ahead and play that real quick. We won't let them take control. Guard the streets and guard your soul. When you see things in watch, standing tall, we won't be caught. No cops gonna claim our town. In the breeze, we bring them down. I want to say thanks to Declared Dave for doing. I think he used Sunu AI and put out the lyrics on that. How you doing, Fuzzy Pink Handcuffs? And howdy, Pinchy Becky. Wait, I get food tonight? This is going to be good. I like this. Thanks and welcome. Again, we're going to start with doing a couple of videos, and then we'll do some and Ask Me Anything. So if you've got questions, please go ahead and stack those up. If you could please put question or comment on it beforehand, that'd be great, and we'll hit those. Let me bring up to stage that, again, tonight we're going to head over to Declared Dave and Suppressive Sherry after this. A couple of interesting things coming up. Well, tonight we're going to do OT levels 1 and level 2, and it's kind of for never ends to explain what's that mean in regards to what Scientology is talking about in regards to their levels, OT level 1 and OT level 2. Then we've got Dave's going to have his second Scientology's Dirty Jobs, and he's going to be talking with our friend Natalie Webster over at Scientology Life After a Cult, and they're going to be talking about being in the Sea Org galley kitchen staff, right? Excellent. Okay. Let me grab a URL real quick. I'll take that off screen so it looks somewhat professional, but we know that professional isn't really my go-to. So, all right. Let me bring that back up on stage. Oh, see, can't be professional. I'm showing you everything. Could have slid that off. Oh, that's awesome. So one thing, I grew up, and I will say that I had Texican food all the time. The things like tacos, burritos. I feel like those are border town elements, and that's what America thinks Mexican food is. But later in life, I learned what mole was. And to me, what the Chinese or the Asians can do with a broth and make so much flavor in a broth, moles, and I understand that moles are family secrets in most Hispanic or Mexican families, that I came to have a great appreciation for anything with mole on it. So absolutely love that. But yeah, that's excellent that you made enchiladas for El Cheryl. I like that the community, and I know we're not a group, we're not a gang, just a bunch of individuals who know one another and have a common purpose. I like when we're able to spend time together in things that aren't necessarily Scientology. Yeah, the one thing I understood is that like there is no 3 ingredient mole, and it's pretty like I always get the impression it's at least an overnight process to do that, and I feel that way. Like my specialty always was chili, but chili is one of those things that I always feel it tastes better the next day. The day you make chili, it's all right, no complaints, but the day after is really when chili comes together. Howdy Style Audit. Thanks for coming in. I did get your email and definitely appreciate that. And you're always welcome. Love when you're out there. And I can be, I want to be as helpful as possible whenever I can. Um, okay. So this past weekend, again, we had Lollapalooza in town. It would have been a good opportunity. I'm not sure why Scientology really didn't have a lot of people out there, but they didn't have a lot of people out there. I wasn't able to capture anybody doing actual body routing. I did circumnavigate Lollapalooza on both days. I saw nobody at any of the gates. There's about 8 gates in total to get into or out of Lollapalooza. There was nobody there. There was nobody down at the train stations. There was nobody that I could see anywhere on the streets. So there was, apparently they just didn't really take advantage of that. And I also feel like that they're struggling. I feel that we're getting some turnover in staff. What I can't tell you is whether or not that's people quitting Scientology, or if it's people being called away to their next mission, tour, whatever that process is. We've we've known pretty consistently that Chicago has been borrowing Sea Org staff in order to do the grand opening and do the recruiting. One of the things that I try to do right now is to frustrate their recruiting as much as I can. I know that they have been able to get some people to come in, and they've got a couple of college students that were there. I don't see the college students anymore. So the ones that they recruited in, I do not see those college students anymore going into the org. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not in Scientology. They could have been moved elsewhere, or they could have gone to fly because they wanted to get more serious about it, or they could have decided they wanted to go move away from Scientology. But regardless, that's kind of where they're at there. I will say that I loved it that Aaron dropped a short today. I think, right, Aaron's got his Clips channel and he's got his main channel. And on the Clips channel, the idea that he has internal knowledge that there have been no brand new starts in Chicago since their grand opening. And I want to say that, hey, thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Trashy V12 BMW. Thank you, SRA. Thanks, Korn. Thanks, Juanita. Thanks, Never in Nana. Thanks, Hellgear. Thanks, Nance Drew, right? The idea that we're out there making it very challenging for them to show the public that Scientology is at all appetizing. Welcome in, Desmond. Thank you for being here. Oh, what a cute puppy. All right. On Saturday, what I did is I opened up the stream kind of on Jackson. I got off the train at Jackson, and then I walked over to Michigan Avenue, and then we walked past Lollapalooza. I'm going to skip the Lollapalooza space and just kind of here we're coming up to the org, and as we come up to the org, you're going to see a Scientologist on our right. The Scientologist that we're going to see, he's the one that, speaking of Trashy V12 BMW, Trashy was the one who went into the dumpster and got all of the documents out of there. The person we're about to see is the one who chased him on the skateboard. So, howdy, Lori. Thanks for coming in. We're going to do a little speed play of the weekend real quick. Thank you, Adam. Great for being in there. Yeah. By the way, the Grateful Dead does do a great job, but they're a more entertaining. They provide more value than Scientology does as well. All right. So here we're approaching the org on Saturday. We're going to see the person on the phone, and then the other one is we'll typically see the shades coming down. Might make a call back to the org, see if he can get that up there.
See if you can get them to close the blinds before I get there.
The gold on the street side of these tables.
This is the younger of the skateboard guys, and if you remember Trashy V12 BMW, when he was out here,
their tendency is to walk away from me, and he's going to walk away from me and then turn.
This is the one that chased SRA and Trashy up the street.
Right, they're going to make sure that their faces aren't on camera. This guy's been on camera so many times, so it doesn't really matter. So you can see the guy in the red shirt. He's the Dianetics. He's going inside, right? They can't be outside anymore. I just saw him pick up the brick, right? I'll jump that forward real quick.
Come on, bring the shades down. Oh, they're packed in here. So every seat in this cafeteria is full right now. I can see the older couple that...
Pause real quick. So for those of you that don't know, in Chicago, it's a building that's kind of deep and narrow, right? Lori, you're right, that they're on the phone. And by the way, they're really good people on the phone, and they talk on the phone, which is odd. They're definitely stuck in the 50s and 60s, although we didn't have cell phones back then. The way that this org looks is on the first floor, there are two large hallways that go from front all the way to the back, and they have those media centers. So if you've ever seen the test center at Seattle, Hollywood, Portland and Seattle, you get a really good view of it because they're square buildings and you can see all of the media centers. But you're going to see that that's what's down this too. And then to our right, and what's kind of in the middle of the frame right now, I don't know if you can see the cursor, and you get an awful lot of reflection. Sorry about that. But above the SUV, you can see the white sleeve of somebody. Well, that's their cafeteria, and it kind of looks like a Starbucks. Like there's a little counter space there. They've got an Italian grade espresso maker there. I think they do microwave type stuff there. Or people will go to the local stores, right? You've got the Subway, you've got Flacco's Tacos in the next block, you've got 7-Eleven. There's plenty of places where they can go grab food, and then they'll come back here and they'll eat here. But this cafeteria is very full. I'm pretty sure we were at about 1 o'clock. It might have been noon, but noon or 1 o'clock here on Saturday.
Speak Spanish. They're here. The man standing up, I know you can't see because of the gloss in there, but the man standing up with the white hair, he's the one that talked to the police when FXP was here. And the cop that was, oh darn, I can't remember his name right now. Sergeant Dolan, right? He was the one that used the microphone from across the street. So we've got him already pulling down over here. Oh, there's a new face. Remember, the cult can't stand up to the light of day, so they've got to close everything up, right? So bring those shades down. By the way, Mary, fake phone tech is very effective here. There have been times where I was on the other channel.
I misunderstood what Mary was saying in phone tech the same way that Lori Plays just was. Now, there's two things that I'm going to say about fake phone tech. If you walk up to this org and you have a cell phone, it doesn't even have to be powered on. If you hold it anywhere near that window, they're going to come out and they're going to pull those shades down, right? There are many people that ask me why it's important to, get the shades down. It takes away their retail presence, right? So you've got all those books that are out there, nice and shiny, enticing for people. Hey, what is this place over here? When I cause them to bring their shades down, it makes them much less appetizing or appealing for anybody to walk in there. So I think it's very important that the first thing I do is make sure that I close up their retail presence. Remember, they spend hundreds of millions of dollars to build up this org and to buy this org and to renovate it. Let's see here. I think I kind of just walk around a little bit now after this, now that I've got the blinds down. And we're going to now engage somebody who, this guy in the white, so let's go back a little bit. The guy in the red, he's one of the body routers. He almost always pairs or twins with the very thin, curly-haired dark male that we have out there body routing. I have not seen that guy for over a month and a half. The curly-haired, thin, dark male or dark skinned male. This guy, he's buff, and he used to be, he used to go out in this nice white leather coat, which boggled my mind. Why do you have a Sea Org staffer in his dark suit and then him in his cool white flashy leather jacket? But nonetheless, it was there. So you've got the guy in the white t-shirt and the red beard. He's about to come out, and I'm going to confront him, and he's unaware that he was actually in a Scientology building. Now, remember, what their goal is they go out and they pass around flyers in the neighborhood to get people to walk into this building.
How you doing? You know it's a cult, right? Yeah. You're okay? So Danny Masterson raped 3 women. He's a member in good standing of this church. He's in jail for 30 years to life. He's still a member there. The 3 people that he raped, when they went forward, the church disowned those 3 people. So the victims couldn't report their crimes. Oh, this group? This group. Church of Scientology.
So did you see him kind of crane his neck? Like he asked me this group, and then he cranes his neck to look out. He, again, fully unaware that he was in a Scientology building. All of their marketing is very deceptive. When you get a flyer, it's hard to figure out that you just got something from Scientology, right? Maybe he got A Way to Happiness. Maybe he got the Dianetics book. Now, he did buy a Dianetics book while he was in there today. Now, this goes fairly well compared to, I feel poorly that I wasn't able to get here before he went in.
Is it Scientology? Yes. They told you it was Way to Happiness, Dianetics? Yeah. Yeah. So this person, dead, mental abuse. Right. You'll get
showing
much more
my business
information
card
off of this. I wish I would have seen you when you were going in. Yeah. I'll look into it. Okay.
So what I've just handed him is this card. And this card, the front where you've got the Xenu face, that's basically the same thing that Tori Magoo has out, right? And it's got the Xenu.net and ask them about Xenu. And then it's got the website at the bottom. And then on the other side with the scan code, first it's got a couple of abuses or crimes plus the proper nouns of the people who were victims of those crimes. And then the scan code takes you to my blog post, WindyCityThetanWatch.com, and it will then show you 5 or 6 stories right away about the abuses of Scientology. And I can continually update that. I think there's also an SPTV Foundation link on that page as well. So he's taken this card, and it's, again, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
He's gonna later on. I'm gonna see him down the street. He's gonna kind of. He gets his phone call. He gets on the phone real quick, like, "Hey, what did I just do here?" Right. I'll let it play because we're gonna see some blue coats come in.
Nothing else happens today. We won. He was totally unaware that it was Scientology, right? So he spent his deceptive. They don't want people. Oh my gosh, I was in a Scientology. For those prices.
You can see the. Sorry, let me pause it real quick.
You can see the guy is still.
So he's on the phone. He's the white shirt over black shorts, pretty far down the sidewalk, and then you see 3 figures in dark clothing. Those are 3 Sea Org members.
Out with that person. His name is Nico something. I think
it was 90
I can't
degrees
remember
out
exactly
that day.
What it is. It's Nico, but if you go to the website and you look at the Chicago, there's the blog on the Chicago Staff Org, you'll see him. Anything positive to share about the church? Does the church let you talk about the church? If you can't talk about it, you're not free. I know it's the
So again, I always want to challenge him. Hey, if you can't talk about it, and that was Phil Jones who gave me that idea that says, hey, ask them if they can talk about the church. Yeah. Hey, Pinche, have you ever tried to go in to say, hey, here's my flyer. Can I go get a cup of coffee? Can I go get a sandwich in there? I'd be intrigued to see if they'd let you walk in there. Lori, thanks. I'm going to say that I think all the protesters are doing a great job, right? I mean, I love everybody who's out there frustrating this organization. And the idea that we have so many never-ins who are really just lending a voice to the people who we heard the stories of the crimes and the abuses that they suffered at the hands of this organization. And I also can't sing anywhere near as well as you. If you don't believe me, ask anybody in this chat. That's interesting. So does Fort Harrison look like a traditional hotel when you walk in, or have they built it up differently? And then, yeah, Adam, on this one, if you ask any other religious organization about their organization, they're more than happy to give you every piece of resource possible. I've never met a Muslim who wouldn't give you a Quran. I've never met somebody in Jehovah's Witness, right? In Jehovah's Witness, they're very aggressive on putting stands up. Now, they don't approach the people that come by very often, but they put stands up with their pamphlets. More than happy to give you those pamphlets all the time. They will talk to you, but you have to engage them first. Any of the traditional Christian, whether it be Catholic or Protestant of any nature, more than happy to talk to you and tell you about their religion. And there's been times where I've kind of talked to these people. It's like, how can you be so selfish? I want to help save the world too. Why won't you give me the secret? Why are you hiding the secret from me? Right? Do you not care about me? But that's kind of where we're at there. Let me pull that off. Let me see. The next thing we're going to see is, you're not going to see this because, and I apologize that when I do StreamYard, I only get to, it takes me a while to switch from telephoto to regular. But right now, over this silver SUV, so you've got the white car on the far side of the road and then a silver SUV behind it. You can see the head of somebody just walking out. That is a public, and there's a staff member with them, and the staff member is giving them a big hug, like hey, it was great to see you, like friends would do if they were meeting or departing from one another. And we're going to try to chat with this person, the public that they've got coming out.
So here's another. We just see the hug, right? The Scientologist, the public that just came out. Let's see if I can. She might be waiting for a car. Yeah.
So the white car in front of me is her car. She's really hustling across because of traffic, not because of me.
Is it okay that women can't report crimes against them in that church?
You'll notice she looked at me for a moment. She looked at me to see she heard noise. She looked at me, but as soon as she had any understanding of what I was saying, she's going away. Right. And most of the staff in Chicago, they're pretty well to do. One of the things that I will say, that when I was in Minnesota last month, Aaron has a couple of contacts here in Chicago, and they've all complained that since moving from Lakeview to here, it costs you $30 usually to park in this area. Yeah, anywhere from $18 to $30 to park in this area. And most of the most of the public are really annoyed by the fact that they have to pay such a high price to come to the organization anymore. But here's going to be a well-heeled public heading out. Lori, here's what the trick is. On the bottom, when you've got the phone, you've got the settings. So if you click on settings and then you click on camera, and then it'll give you a drop-down list of which phone camera do you want. If you have a phone with a telephoto lens, it'll show you the telephoto lens. So, howdy, Patrick. Welcome in. Great to see you. Hey, and I know that I said I was going to hold all these questions for the end, but I think you guys are asking me more in context questions. But if you do have any questions, there's going to be an Ask Me Anything at the end of the show this evening. Let me see what we've got next. This one this bothered me when I saw this. This is going to be, I've seen this staff member before. I've seen this child before. I'm going to get you, let me see here. So right now, I'll just say that, right, you see the fuzziness. There's an adult male in gray, and then you've got the child in a white t-shirt. I'll speed forward a little bit because I don't really want to put them on there anymore. Yeah, Lori, it absolutely works on the iPhone 15. So this is a staff member. Normally, he's in his staff clothing, and he'll bring this child, and sometimes he'll walk in, and other times you're going to see what happens today. This, to me, it's rather disturbing.
Not sure why he just dropped the
Oh,
uniform. See,
so. Oh, and I think I said something. Oh, so now Scientology is a daycare, but he is a staff member. I've seen him in his staff uniform all the time. But look, this guy's just dropping his daughter off here right now. Now, we all have the worst nightmares about any child that gets stuck in here, and he's just sending her in really unaided or unescorted. I think that most likely his wife is working today, and this is just the let me send the daughter in so that I can go do other tasks and chores and stuff of that nature. But still, the idea that you're seeing, hey, there are no children in Scientology. Yeah, there's children in Scientology, folks, right? And the children feel at home, right? That child didn't balk at this. That child went straight in. I will tell you, when he comes up and when he's got the child, I wish I would have said children can't consent, but I tend not to not to ask or not to confront children, right? I don't want to really scare or challenge the children. So I'm not going to do anything about this other than the fact that we've got it logged right now. I'm going to do a video later on where I'm going to show this guy several times doing the same thing that we just saw right here. But it's very demoralizing to me. This, like, I can tell my tone drops when this happens and I'm out on a live. It takes me a little while to get my energy back up and start wanting to go and challenge the org again. So let's see here. Now, something must be going on special today, because now we're going to see this next woman is somebody who she's the one that almost always pulls the shades down at lunchtime on a weekday for me.
And this is oftentimes our shades girl. Anything positive to share about the church? Curious to see what the civilian gear is out for today.
Yeah, can't figure out why they were wearing civilian clothes today. She was in a dress. She had flowers. Naturally, had a headphone on, so she doesn't have to worry about what's going on here. But that was interesting to me that she came looking maybe on a day off. But I tend not to see people in dresses. On Easter, I saw people in dresses, and on Joe Cicala's wedding, I saw dresses. Yeah, there's. I'm going to say that I tend to confront, if confront is the way that to interact with people differently. I tend to, if it's a staffed member, a uniformed staff member, I'll usually try to ask them a question that they should have an easy time answering. Is there anything positive about your church? Does the church let you talk about the church? And if they won't answer that question, I'll usually put the word cult out there. But the reason that I put cult out there isn't really to challenge them. It's because there's other neighbors walking up and down the sidewalk. And when they hear me say the word cult and they associate it with this building, it starts to make them think a little bit more about what's going on here in this space. Now, when it comes to a public, I want to ask them, anything positive to share about the cult? Can you tell me anything that you've learned positive about this cult? About this church? How has the church helped you? I usually don't use the word cult until I can tell they're going to refuse answering or in that space. And then when it comes to civilians, it's always that I want to wait until I can kind of understand that they want to talk to me. I'm not talking to every person walking up and down this sidewalk. More often than not, you'll see me raise the camera if there are civilians walking by. They didn't ask to live their lives on camera. So if I know it's a college student coming by, I give them the grace of, here, let me let you walk by. Yeah. Yeah. It's not impossible that's what happened, Lori. Right. Let's see here. This one, you would have seen this on Natalie's show this morning, but I really, this is not uncommon in any way, shape, or form. So you've got the staff member here, and there's a couple right behind them. The couple right behind them are civilians.
Anything positive to share about the church? Nothing positive about your cult? The cult of Scientology? Not positive? Nothing positive?
Did you see the woman? Let me see if I can get a freeze.
The cult of Scientology?
She's pleased as punch that I'm kind of letting them know that, hey, I know you're a cult, right? And then this last one, I just hate. I hate seeing some of the people that are aged and they look old. They look like they're suffering. So this last clip of the day.
Anything positive to share about your church? Does the church let you talk about the church? Because that's not freedom. Freedom would allow you to talk about it. Are you allowed to read books not associated with the church? Anything positive to share with the church? Nothing positive about the cult here?
Now the older guy, right? We definitely saw that he had the hunched shoulders. He walked with a limp. He was, when I first arrived, and I told you that we've got the two Scientology people out there waiting for us. Well, it was the red shirt guy that I talked about, the kind of the beefcake guy that wears white, and then this guy. They were the two that were out there. He had a lanyard on, and the lanyard had a Dianetics image on it. That when I got to the org on Sunday, there was an additional table in the foyer that had Dianetics books set up. So it felt like they would have been trying to do a lot of recruiting or body routing in that space. So, all right. So there's our fun with Saturday. Let me go ahead and pull the Sunday show over. So Sunday was kind of fun. There was a lot of stuff that happened here on Sunday. Let's see here. So now I'm walking south. A couple of things that are interesting in this picture, right? On the other side of the street, you see the two red brick buildings. Well, at the top of that, you see a black wall. There used to be a sign there, and that sign was a billboard. There was a billboard. Scientology did purchase it for the first month. Then a medical company purchased it for the next month. And it looks like the sign has been torn down. So it doesn't look like they're going to continue using that as a billboard. Hey, and if you're not subscribed to Lori Plays, head over there. Pinchy Becky always can use some more subs. Let's get over there. Let's grow the community, heighten the awareness. Right. So we're walking up to the org. If we look down the street, you can see the Subway sign there. You've got there's Pat's Pizza this side of the Subway sign, then the Subway sign, then Dunkin' Donuts, and then the college, and then the organization. And here we are heading down the street.
Scientology. And that'll be
Lori, I only do this to make Fuzzy's job hard. Now she has to go look up all those channels.
But he did take my card, and he thanked me for giving him the information. He did seem fully surprised that he had walked into Scientology.
This is rather common. I'm just talking about, I'm recapping the day before whenever I walk up to the org. That dumpster is because the college students are moving in and out.
We're going native today. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. We're doing YouTube native today. I want to be able to have a little bit more control over the screen size. I can see a Scientologist coming up the street right now. It's the older woman in white hair. She'll say hi to me. Oh, this is interesting. There's a table right here.
I have a nice mirrorless camera, which I think would be able to penetrate that. Like it's got polarization on it, so I think I would be able to penetrate this. I just don't want to lug around a 1,000-pound camera in order to do this. I'm very opportunistic. I usually just survive with my gimbal and my phone, but the phone especially during the day, you get a lot of reflection. So I have to describe for you what's going on there. But you can see the legs of the chairs there. Those chairs are typically not there. And there's a table right there. And the table has a pyramid of Dianetics books as well. So, and then we're going to bring the shades down.
With the Dianetics books set up. So they're probably anticipating a lot of people here today. Yeah, I see you can see there's a reception sign sitting right here. This aisle is empty. There's nobody sitting in any of the media banks here.
So they've got no publics in there right now, no curious people.
And here we've got a newer young male. I don't recognize this guy. The cafeteria, we've got what? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This guy, you know what? I had not seen him since the opening days. I was just going through the old video because I want to start.
You hear me, mister? Now you get going in.
Child abuse.
Sorry about that. I wanted to hit pause. I screwed that up big time. Let me put this. All right. What I kind of want to say here is that a gentleman got up out of the cafeteria and he came and he closed one of the blinds. And then instead of closing all the rest of the blinds, they kind of have a managerial, like a hierarchy there. And he's a little bit miffed that the person at the desk didn't get off his butt and run up there very quickly. So, and this is several times I've had this where one of the Cicala boys, Joey Cicala is the executive director, he'll come out of the cafeteria and he'll look at me and he'll be a little bit miffed. Thanks, Cricket. He'll be a little bit miffed and then he'll go back to the desk and make the desk person come up and close the blinds, right? Which again, terrible managerial trait. Never force your employees to do what you wouldn't do yourself, right? By the way, I don't know why, but on the it showed up in my feed. It was an episode of the Clampets, and I can't not watch Buddy Epson and Granny. So now they're going to close the rest of the blinds.
Does the church let you say anything positive about the church?
And close the doors. And do I think the neighborhood notices when I get them to do this kind of stuff?
So they did
yes,
kind
I
of
do.
a poor job so far, right? Now they've got the tag team coming here, bringing the blinds down. Isn't it strange that this church has to hide from the public? Maybe it's not a church. Maybe it's a cult.
Those comments are for the public that just walked by.
We've seen her several times. Generally, she's very nice. She'll say hello to me if I say hello to her. Okay, so we've got the retail. Howdy, Elron. Elron Pansifier. Okay, so we've got the blinds down. 1 second.
Okay, I'm being called across the street. So let's see here. So these three, one of them stood up and is kind of waving to me over, and they're all looking here. And it's like, well, fine, I'm going to go over and talk to. Anytime anybody wants to ask me about Scientology, I want to talk to them about Scientology, right? I really think this was a great. I loved the interaction that I had this day. And today I put up a video that has a better edited clip of this with some other peripheral production value to it.
So do you know who they are? Hey guys, are you guys okay being on film?
By the way,
So
they're probably not on film.
Okay, so it is Scientology, and they have some interesting beliefs. They believe that millions of years ago in a galaxy far away, that their overlord, Xenu, rounded up all the bad Thetans, brought them to the Earth, put them in volcanoes, blew them up with, they were frozen when they came, blew them up with hydrogen bombs. So I'll say that they have a goofy fantasy, but many people will say Judeo-Christian religions are fanciful, right? I don't care about that part. Now the part that's interesting, if you go in there, nothing is free. You pay for everything you do in there, so it's really just a money scheme. So financially, it's just stupidly crazy. Now we'll talk about the abuses. They have child abuse, human trafficking. You'll see many of the people there have foreign accents. They come over on religious visas. Their passports are taken from them. They never had that before. Now they have to work for them for life. there have been many people who have died at their hands because of mental abuse. So Lisa McPherson is probably the most well-known. She had a mental break. She was checked into a hospital by the ambulance EMT. Scientology came and got her out of the hospital, chained her up in a room. 17 days later, she went into crisis. They tried to get her back to the hospital. She was dead on arrival. They have something called auditing in this church. And it's sort of like confession if you were listening to...
I kind of want to pause it right here. These people are listening, right? This isn't like, can you get out of here, right? I hope that I can tell there's active listening going on right here. And again, you want to actively listen. I want to actively talk. I want to tell you anything I can here to give you as much information. And the idea that, oh yeah, I'm only telling 3 people. Well, if these 3 people are from the area, they're going to tell people at night, right? And by the way, yeah, Pinche, and that lady on the left, she does my job for me in a couple of minutes.
Catholic Church. They'll have a young person, 14 years old, and that person has to listen to the adult that comes into the room to confess or tell their auditing. They can tell them the most perverse things in the world, and the child can't leave. So you're telling a child about your fantasies and also your actions. So when you admit to a bad action in this church, they'll immediately take you and they'll move you out of jurisdiction. So they'll move you back to a home country. They'll move you out of the way so that you can't be prosecuted for that crime. Other than that, lovely group of people, right? So,
by the way, that was sarcasm.
We've been here all day, and like I was like, were the doors like foggy at all? And the second you came around,
everything comes down.
Glass on, shades all down, and it's like they're so.
They've been coming out in the suits all day.
It's so secretive.
They're gonna pass.
Again, I just want to say, right, that do people watch what's going on? Yeah, there's evidence. So was there value to me going over there and getting those blinds closed? 100%, right? Number 1, it makes the church look uninviting. Number 2, you've got these people that they saw what happened and they wanted to know, what superpowers do I have? Why did they do that? Right? Why did the cult close all the doors when I came over there? And howdy, Indigo. We're about to see Indigo make her debut. No, not her debut. I believe that she's been out before, but her debut on my stream.
I'm gonna hand you something. So
again, I'm handing my card.
I told you about Lisa McPherson. That's the person on the top. These are other crimes and just a short list of them. If you go to that scan code, you'll see a blog post. And then Xenu.net is going to give you a lot of information about the church itself. So if you want to take that. And yeah, one of the reasons that I come out here.
Sorry about that, Ingo. I'll get better about that.
They're going to come out of this building, and especially with Lala going on, they have these flyers. I don't have any with me, but they're going to hand out flyers, whether it's Dianetics or they have a bunch of front groups. Way to Happiness, CCHR, which is a human rights group. But in human rights, what they mean is that we don't agree with psychiatry and we don't agree with psychedelic drugs. So we don't think you can treat mental deficiencies with drugs, although scientifically.
They don't believe in psychedelic either, though.
So I want to make sure that people don't fall prey to it. Because if you go in there, and by the way, you can go in there, at the lowest level, it seems like such an innocuous, oh, we're here to save the world. And who doesn't want to save the world, right? And then all of a sudden you start doing these creepy things like, what do you mean I can't tell other people the truth? Like one of the things that I love asking them is, will the church let you talk to me? Yeah. And the answer is no. And it's like, well, doesn't that sound culty if you're not allowed to talk to me in this space? So it's just a really dangerous, to me, it's a very dangerous organization. And I don't want them getting a foothold in this organization. The moment, yep. Everybody down, doors closed, right? No problem.
Listen, I know how arrogant this sounds, but there was an impression made on these 3 people, right? This is now the second time, and there's going to be a third time that they're talking about you show up and they close these windows, right? I think it's important that, again, I'm not trying to elevate myself. I'm just saying that this little activity of getting them to pull the shades down and how stupid they are for pulling the shades down, right? They're closing up their retail space in that realm. And all that's doing is showing these people that who are those bat crazy folks over there.
Excellent. You can see here's a uniformed member down here, and the 2 people that are with them they're going to be Publix. So he have another job, but are probably Publix. And what that means
I'm
is
just talking about the guy
people
down the
that
street
pay
there,
to take service here.
and he's walking across the
And
street.
yeah,
right?
nice. They're a lot. She's one of the biggest donors. Tom Cruise, big donor.
I was just telling about Nancy
Danny
Cartwright.
Masterson, right? Danny Masterson in jail for 30 years to life. He sexually abused 3 women in this church. When those women came forward, the church disconnected them. He is still a member in good standing of the church. So,
spooky.
yeah.
We were just like, what the heck is going on? Immediately, the second you came over there, switch glasses on, shades were down, and they were like, do you come over here a lot?
I work in the area, so as often as I can, because I just don't want them to be able to hand off these flyers.
Yeah.
So,
Hi, Indigo.
how you doing? Very nice to meet you,
Nice to meet
Indigo.
And now we get to see Indigo. By the way, I love this post. Got to put it up there. Right. So I had left a little bit earlier than, so Indigo, Juanita, Corn were there. And look, saving a couple of people. Yeah, I love that. So they're understanding that Scientology is a cult. One thing I just want to remind everybody, never believe that everybody knows that they're a cult, right? It's really important that we don't rest on our laurels and think, oh, well, everybody knows they're dangerous. No, we got to keep on telling them that they're dangerous. So thank you so much for that news and for doing that work, Indigo. Let's see here.
Oh, great to see you. Just another protester, somebody who really wants to go against them. So they asked me why I came over.
And
so we
now,
do have another guest protester out today. This is Indigo. Indigo.
I've got my thing.
Oh, nice. I need to figure out who can do crochet so I can get Thetans. Winston and who?
Winona.
Winston
Yeah.
and Winona. Very, very.
so there's some funsies that's going on here. So, right, we've got Indigo here. And again, I've told everybody in Chicago, if you want to come out, please come out. I'll try to help make you as comfortable as you want to be. I don't need to make her comfortable as you. I make them comfortable. They did great on their own. But the idea that they had the Thetans in their backpack and went in on a tour. I love that the Thetans are named as well. That's just amazing to me. I think that we're going to hear in a moment that they asked them about what the things in the backpack were, and they said, "Oh, it's my teddy bears."
Very nice.
Side-eye to Scientology.
Yes, that is awesome. All right, so as we look here, the Scientology sign, we've got the shades closed up there. Hopefully you heard the conversation that we were having with them. I didn't pull the mic out. I was stupid. I was trying to engage with the people. But that they had mentioned that, wow, as soon as you came up, all the shades came down, right? And that's really why I come here so much. So I do think that we will see 2 other people.
Coming out, right? Yeah. Corn's coming.
I did not know that.
Does the reception desk.
Now, that guy is rather new to me. I don't recognize
He's a
him.
very young man. I
Yep.
would say probably early 20s.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I was born in, and I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of like heard about Scientology randomly, and I kind of just played.
Indigo's telling us about her
Did they let
experience
you,
in the tour an
how
hour
much did they
ago.
let you see?
Just the bottom floor.
Okay.
But like, so all the desks back there. The old guy with the silver hair.
Yep.
His name is Dave.
Excellent.
So I got
Okay,
his name.
that is
I
helpful.
can't remember the receptionist's name. But yeah.
Love it. Anything positive to share about the church? Is there just nothing positive about your cult?
The Dave, the silver hair guy, said he got it because his coworker told him about it.
Yeah. So
He's got to be in his 70s.
So they're telling me right now that the older gentleman, Dave, inside got in because of a coworker, and the man looks to be 70 years old in this space. So they had an awful lot of it. The recall they have about their experience is pretty enjoyable for me to listen to.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know, not that
Just
white hair,
yeah,
obviously, but he looks.
he doesn't look like a fresh out of college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Thetans were popular, but they were like, "Oh, what are those?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're just little like teddy bears that I carry with me because I didn't want them to know I knew anything about Scientology." So
can you guys hear? Can you guys hear Indigo? I've got the mic pointed towards her. So
3 little Thetan bears.
Oh yeah, I also went in and wrote down my name is Carol Birch, but then I wrote the phone number and address for the FBI Chicago office.
That is awesome.
I love that.
That is great that you have that. That's very clever thinking. I like it.
So they had the fortitude to, or the recollection to say, let me use the FBI's address and number so that when Scientology decides they want to start calling to remind Indigo to come on back, they're going to be in contact with the FBI, the local FBI. It'll be interesting to see what that phone call sounds like or feels like. Pinche, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And by the way, I've always thought you've done stellar work out there. Very happy with all the work. And one thing I want to say is that I think that anybody who wants to stand out near an org, in front of an org, behind a desk and talk about the travesties of this cult, you're A1 in my book, right? And I do things the way I do them because I feel comfortable doing the way I do them. That doesn't mean that I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing them the way that I want to do them. You want to be vocal and boisterous? Go ahead and be vocal and boisterous, right? I've used the analogy a million times that the symphony has piccolos and tubas, and they both have to be there in order for the symphony to sound right. So, thank you so much, Pinche. Let's see what else we got. Then I kind of go and I take a little bit of a tour around the neighborhood. There just really isn't any activity there. This annoyed the daylights out of me. Oh, let me pause that for just a second. Yeah, right. And again, just one of those days. The reason that I want them to look unappealing from the outside is because it is a brand new org. It's clean, bright, shiny. Everybody in there, by the way, while they are stone-faced to me, when they want to put on their glad-handing smiley face, they're pretty productive when they're out on the street. You can tell their engagement with me is incredibly different from their engagement with anybody else that's out there on the street. So, yeah, I'm glad that Indigo knew it was a cult before they walked in there. So right now we see the woman in the pink dress, the male in a greenish shirt. So Corn is right behind that tree. You can see the top of her yellow hat and then a black T-shirt. So Corn Freak. Darn it, I don't remember what I think that she changed it. So I think it's Days but Still Confused. Now, I want to read this real quick. Yeah, one of those things that I understand. I'm very, very fortunate. It is easy for me to get to this organization, and I don't want everybody to think that, hey, you should be out there as much as I am. If you go out one day a year, that's great. Just take a day off from work and say, I'm going to go to the city. And on your trip to the city, spend 45 minutes, an hour in front of an org and give them heck, right? So, but yeah, I know that you can't, that I'm fortunate in regards to where I'm at with that. Take care, Lori. Be a good mom. All right. So this person's going to ask a jackalope question of Corn, and then is going to say, ask us what's wrong with cults.
Corn Freak here.
Okay. Oh yeah. Just like you could use some Scientology. Yeah. Oh yeah. A little bit more.
So I don't know if you heard him. He first says, "Are you okay?" Because she was going through her bag, I think, to get maybe chalk, maybe a flyer, maybe to put something away. It doesn't really matter what was going on there, but are you okay? Was the first question. And then, you look like maybe you could use some Scientology. And it's like, what a DICK.
What's wrong with cults?
Ah.
What's wrong with cults? Other than the fact they abuse children and traffic humans. Yeah, right. Why would that be a bad thing?
I have kids. I've never been abused.
Yep. So you're one of.
I'm done. Yeah.
You're one of.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm done.
Okay.
So, right, what's wrong with cults? And then I explained to him what I don't like about cults. And his explanation was, well, I have kids and they haven't been abused. So therefore it must not happen, right? That's obviously what it is. And then it's like, hey, when he realizes that I'm going to come back and I'm going to threaten him with more proof and abuse, he doesn't want to be in that conversation anymore. Hello, Ms. Robinson. I have not personally talked to Jason Begay, but I know that many of the second gens informers have talked with him. And yeah, he is not at all shy about talking against Scientology. Yeah, I will tell you that, you couldn't see it, but there was smoke coming out of my ears. And the idea that, oh yeah, child trafficking or human trafficking, child abuse, that seems reasonable. Why not? Right. So these two, at first I thought, okay, they're going to go in. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not know if they are publics or if they're just terrible people in this process, but they're going to walk past. I'm in a moment, I'm going to make a little bit of fun of them.
Okay. That's nice. So this person is, his kids are okay, it's fine. But if other kids are being abused, that's fully acceptable, right?
You can see another neighbor happy that we're out there protesting. Now, this guy is going to spend about 10 minutes at this parking meter.
How you doing?
I think he's getting a mortage. I'm not positive.
Get a nice view of the fella.
As a really intelligent, enlightened person,
Hopefully you
he
kind of
has
heard
no
what he said, right?
ability
What's wrong with
to
cults?
manage the
Right. Which again,
the
such a
parking
naive and
meter.
ignorant statement to make. And his kids are safe, so why do we care about other kids? Just so everybody's clear, none of my kids are in this cult, but that doesn't mean that I'm okay with them being abused.
He'll wave at me a little bit and go on from there. I did not like this guy, and I will echo what Indigo said right there. Yeah, I do wonder. Again, I can't tell if he's a public or not. We are going to see them go into the church, just not right now. So I'm going to go walk around again and probably spend an hour, wandering the streets, going to Union Station, going through Lollapalooza, just to see if we've got anything going on there in that space. And then, you know what? I'm going to put this on just because I'm a proud Chicagoan. If you don't know, I also run another channel called Windy Wanders the City, and I just love to show some of the architecture and some of the beautiful, rare places in Chicago. And here we're going to go through Union Station. Union Station is the largest of the train stations and the oldest of the train stations in Chicago.
Now, the vast majority of these trains here are regional, so you're just going to be going to local neighborhoods, local suburbs. Sorry. Yeah,
it's underground, so I'm losing connection.
Someday, like when I retire and I've got nothing to do, I would love to take that kind of. You can see there's an awful lot of construction going on down here. Something that I hate that you can't see is, right, so here's the map of the railway system. You can't see the western states here, but.
I love maps. It's just so much fun to look at this map and say, I wonder if I could get on a train one day and go from here to here. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah. Indigo is our neighborhood historian now. And there still is a no longer in use train station, which used to be called the Dearborn Street Station. And you'll see that on many of the videos there as well. And then we're going to go into the Great Hall here at Union
Here
Station.
you can see the lakeshore is And now we see Amish in here. The Amish are allowed to ride the rails, but they have to avoid a lot of other modern amenities.
I think it's called Travestine, right? The floor here, right? It's, you know, the marble, the
Very
pearl
nice and cool
marble.
in here. Kind of give you a quick scan of the area.
Just a massive,
We've got
beautiful,
Amish
great
couple
hall.
here sitting at the
And you can't see the
edge
Amish
of the
right
trail.
there.
All right.
All right, and then I'm going to head back to the org. This next little clip is just me taunting Osa.
But just to let on the back side of this, right? So I'm showing
You can see
Osa
their high-powered camera just in front of me.
the card, so that they can use the scan code right there in the heart of Hollywood.
Welcome, Adam. Thank you, Patrick. Travertine, yeah.
Okay. Did you plan the colors as well?
Oh, this is going to be a fun little...
It's going with, look at her shirt and the pants.
Pause this for just a second. We're about to unlock a new character. So this is Corn Freak coming in on her alien.
I love it. That's perfect for Juanita.
And Juanita being a squirrel out in front of the org. Howdy, T.
So Juanita just...
Folks, if you're not already
right
subscribed,
today.
make sure you get over and visit T at Perth, Australia. At Perth Scientology, Australia. I think I've got a really good one with her in front of the sign, the Scientology sign.
Let me see.
So I can guarantee you these are going to be parts of my these are going to be parts of my thumbnails in the future. And then getting another picture from this angle.
Juanita, can you come a little bit closer? So I've got the sign in the background.
Because she's wearing a t-shirt the same color as the pants,
sideways.
it's like she's actually riding that thing.
That is awesome.
All right. Now we're about to see excellent. All right, Perth, have fun. Well, I'm going to say getting the boy ready for school sounds like it's always going to be troubling, but I'm rooting for you. So right now there's just, you know, fun socializing, chatting going on, and we're about to see the nasty couple that it's okay that their children aren't being abused.
No.
Here come our friends back, right? Back here for Scientology, that they're okay with child abuse. Yeah, that one's always locked. Sorry.
I always try to be helpful.
If you're not against human trafficking, you're for it. So. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk. I don't know if you heard what was just said here. So the protester said, "Did you know that they told one of the ex-Scientologists that their father was dead, and then it turns out her father wasn't dead, and his statement was, 'Oh, that was me. I'm the dad.'" Right? Just what a despicable human being that is, to be able to make fun of that kind of tragedy and trauma. A person's father who she mourned, thought was dead, lost forever. And the church lied to them about that her father was still around. And you've got Laura, which I don't think that Laura was as extreme as being told that her father was dead, but she didn't have any idea where her father was. And And this is a funny thing, right? Isn't that a cute little story? And he's going to make fun of that process, right? I want to say that, hey, Pinche, if you know any of the folks out in LA that are good at facial recognition, please share this out. I want to know who this person is, and I want to make sure that the public understands the character of this person that we've got right now. Yes, 100%. Yeah, and you heard that absolutely correct. And yeah, that it wasn't like you were fuming enough when he says, "What's wrong with cults?" You know, and by the way, this is an hour and a half later, right? At one point, when I took the long walk around, let me see what I can do here. Let me make sure I've got the right thing here. I'm like, no. I'll tell you what. I'll try to get your email, and I'll send you a clip. And I again, you're seeing YouTube videos, so this is not at 1080 or 720. I'll definitely see. I'll definitely see if I can get you a better picture of this, or a cleaner picture of this. I think I've got it because it was in StreamYard. I should have that. So, but again, I would not in any way feel bad that this person is publicly shamed for the torment and the despicable behavior that he is displaying right here. And again, I want to say that, hey, Osa, this is the most ethical people on the planet, right? These are the people that Scientology wants to hold up as good people on Earth, right? Just tragic. And again, my opinion, but you know, as I've told you all before on my channel, my opinion matters. All right. I think that he just disappears behind the door very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. This is funny. Yeah. If anybody knows how to do facial recognition, I would love if we could do that. Correct.
All right. And then, like there wasn't. Wait, Fuzzy, you share the opinion that my opinion is important, or that this person's despicable? All right. Now, again, I'm always intrigued by the number of Black people that are African Americans that are in this org. We know that there are Nation of Islam offices in this building. The entire building is Scientology. I don't know if they rent it out or they just loan them that, but Nation of Islam happens to be in here quite a bit. Yeah, it is ridiculous, right, Chris? You know, I think about the older woman that does the letter regging and how she'll talk to me. At the beginning of this show, you saw the one woman who walked in and I said, hey, her and I have said hi to one another. These are people that I think I can talk to. And I think that if they saw that behavior, it would be despicable to them just the same. But again, yeah, never underestimate how much Scientology or Scientologists can let you down. Okay. This last one is just as I'm leaving, there's a Black gentleman that's going to leave the org.
So this fella just came out.
He just walked out.
Are you okay that women can't report crimes against them in this church? If a woman is abused by someone in this church, they can't call the police. That's okay?
Oh, big whoop, whatever. I want to say that in any definition of a man, he is not. Period. That that can never be an acceptable response to, is it okay that women can't report abuse against them in this church? Right. That just boggles my mind, that if my understanding of how human reproduction works, he's got a mother, right? He may have a wife, he may have children, may have a sister, right? It just boggles my mind that, yeah, if they don't do it to me, who cares, right? As long as I'm getting what I need out of the organization, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that I wouldn't exactly say that LRH was a stand-up guy, right? How about it? Right. If I'm a predator, now I know exactly where I need to find my victims, right? Yeah, absolutely, Indigo. One thing I just want to kind of hit here, that, you've got this organization here. Right next door is a college dormitory. This college dormitory only houses freshmen right now. So the idea that you don't have any continuity, you don't have somebody that was there last semester and can say, hey, the church next door is all about this, right? So every time there's a new class, we need to be out there educating them about the dangers of who their next door neighbor is. There is the next block is the immigration court, right? So these are people taking their first step in America, trying to get their visa, trying to get a green card, trying to do permanent residency, trying to figure out how to do citizenship. Right? So just another class of victims right there. There are at least 5 different colleges that are within 3 blocks of this. You've got Roosevelt University, East West University, DePaul University, Columbia College, Robert Morris College. University of Illinois Chicago is about 6 blocks away. So this is a target-rich environment for an organization that's looking to find young minds, right? 100% agree with that. Yeah, and we went past Jones College Prep on our walk. If you guys recall, the one day on when Jones College Prep was having their graduation day, I was over there, and the 2 Eastern Europeans were out there handing out the Way to Happiness. They ended up trying to go into the Chicago Library. I talked to the security guard saying, hey, there's people in here with some propaganda. You probably don't want them in here passing your stuff out. They were moved out of there. They then came and tried to they shoved their phone in my face, which is exactly what the police said I can't do to people, which I never have done that to anybody, but I was told never to do that because then they can defend themselves. Precisely what they did to me here. So howdy, SPTV gaming community. All right, if you're just joining, we've looked at the highlights of what occurred over the weekend in regards to my 2 visits to the Chicago Ideal Org here in Printers Row. Also, we had a visit from Indigo Twin. They were out there supporting. They also went for a tour inside. We heard about that for a little bit, so that was awesome. Great to hear. What else do we got? Chris, thank you very much. And I appreciate that. And thank you for being a member. And again, being a member here, all you do is you get some emojis, right? It's a way of saying I stand with what the protesters are doing. It's a rather nominal fee. It's $2.99. I really appreciate that. So I love that away. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So she got some propaganda. They got some propaganda, and I was able. I'm going to get better at this. They got some propaganda, and they gave that propaganda to me. So that was awesome. Let's see here. All right, folks. I did tell you that we do an Ask Me Anything. So, and I know I'm not some superstar, but hey, what are some things you wish I would do better? What are some things that I don't do that I do really well? Ask me some questions, right? let's see here. Me and Taz gets to start off with the Ask Me Anything. Do I prefer cake or pie? All right. I'm going to say that the number one first thing that I'm always going to pick off of any menu anytime I get dessert. By the way, my wife doesn't like dessert, so it's really hard for us to get dessert, but cheesecake. I love cheesecake, which I will tell you that is cheesecake pie or cake, but cheesecake is awesome. But after you give me cheesecake, then I'm going to, 2 through 27 are going to be pie. So thank you, me and Taz. Unstar that. And are there any WPA, Work Progress Administration? I can't remember precisely what that was. I think Work Progress, WPA, the Work Progress Administration is what I'm going to stick with. There are a couple that are both memorials to the project. So there were CCC. I can't remember those either. Civilian something Corps. But these were programs that were meant to help people get work when we were trying to pull ourselves out of depression. So that was something. Oh. Hey, Helger, how you doing? Here, I want to say both, right? I used to be an all boxers, but then I really like boxer briefs these days. So, or elastic boxers in that way. 100%. That that's one of the things that I say things, and I think that sometimes that people take a negative connotation from it when I say this, but Juanita and Korn enjoy themselves out in front of the org, and that's not a bad thing. The idea that people inside are seeing people outside having a good experience with one another, right? Fellowship. And when I was in church, fellowship was the thing you were seeking, right? The inclusion, the fellowship, and to see that, it's really a joy to watch those two out there, and they're just a riot. Howdy, Oriel Ritz, great to see you. Thank you, Cricket. So, Civilian Conservation Corps, right? Let me see this one. I don't know enough about that, but I do remember that he was in the occult at that point in time. And darn it, Aleister Crowley, those guys, they were doing all kinds of fun little LSD and mushroom type work back in that day. So, yeah. All right. Indigo Twin, are you naturally back? You have a very approachable vibe. I notice people gravitate to you. Let's see. This one, it's hard to answer without feeling a little bit arrogant. I will tell you that in every athletic endeavor I've ever been on, I was the team captain. In most realms, I'm the voice of reason, and I like to be the voice of reason. I like to listen to both sides, and I like to explain that, hey, you're a little bit right, you're a little bit right. Here's where we are in the middle in that space. But yeah, I would say I'm a connector in those ways, but also I like to be a lead by example. And when I'm out here trying to be gracious to the staff members, I want that to be the example that others take away and say, that's the way that I want to do this, right? Mindy was out here a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was really a joy for me to kind of be out with her. I loved when she was able to get the windows closed, so that was great. But she twice gave me some really good accolades, right? The idea that she was telling not Jackson, the second interview, Jeff Hawkins, that she got a master class in protesting when she was here. And I will say that, I blushed a little bit when I heard about that. One thing that I did see, and Indigo Twin brought out was they have on Wednesdays some special 6:30 get together. So I do want to start showing up in that time. I will tell you that there have been a couple of times, like I've let an F-bomb slip every once in a while, and it bothers me a little bit. But when I do that, I will tell you that I am feeling real emotion at that point in time. I will tell you that I froze when that staff member let his daughter walk in. I was totally frozen by the moment of, oh my gosh, I can't believe what I'm seeing right here. And I wish I would have, again, children can't consent and all of that in that space. That because of Chicago, and I think that California is a little bit similar, but not quite the same. In Chicago, everybody has to go into that organization by foot, whether it's in the back alley or the front. So they have to walk past. There's just no way around it. Whereas you've got all of the tunnels, the connected buildings, the parking lots in California. So that's a little bit easier. I will tell you that we have had the police called on us, and we have had the police called on us in what I would consider to be SWAT-like scenarios and uncool in that space. About half of the cops are very much like the LA cops in regards to they take everything Scientology says at face value, and Scientology must be right. You can tell that they have been safe pointed to some degree. Then there's the other half, and I'm going to say that they have a very reasonable stance in the idea of, you want to chalk the sidewalk, chalk the sidewalk. It's it's totally your right to. There's have at it. So, but I'm gonna say that. Pinche, I have people that I work with, and I know that every once in a while they'll raise their voice or something of that, and people say, "Well, why do you let so and so yell?" And I said, "They're being passionate," and I'm going to fault to on the side that they're being passionate about what they're saying. They're not targeting a person; they're mentioning an idea, and they're strenuously objecting to an idea or enhancing or backing up an idea, and that's a place where you can let that be. I don't like the idea of yelling at somebody, to demean them in that space. But I'm just uncomfortable with it. I love that there are people that I've said this 1,000 times that Shannon has no problem yelling at somebody and making somebody feel very uncomfortable with volume. Pearl Snappy, Selfless. There are several people that are very, William Good, right? He's somebody that can yell at you. William can yell at you in a way that I think is much more tactful. But I will tell you that Austin was frustrated by the efforts of Pearl Snappy. So I don't necessarily care that she was yelling or that she was being tough on people, if that's the way you want to say it. She was a pain in the side of Austin, and Austin had her on the short list of enemies in that space. And it was because of the way that she presented herself. So it takes all kinds, right? Let's see here. Yeah, I agree with that, right? That there's nothing that says you can't have a good time and protest or annoy the Church of Scientology, right? So I'll take that. Again, Ortiz, Oreo Ritz, good to see you again. Let's see. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about Alice Crowley. Now, the part I didn't know is that Crowley didn't like him. So, and again, look out for yourself. That's as all cult leaders do. Look out for yourself. And I have something coming up with Natalie soon. We're going to kind of go over how to be a cult leader, which is a Netflix series right now, and how does that intersect with how Scientology and LRH did their work. Let's see, we've got the walking tours, and I know that these URLs don't come up there, but folks, if you want to, please, if you want to see more about the great city of Chicago, let me come over to Windy Wanders the City. And again, every once in a while, I just start the camera up and we'll walk around the neighborhood. We'll walk down the train stops, all that fun stuff. And yes, sub to Mindy Willens. I appreciate that, Dorothy. You know, and I'm going to say that I am very happy with the loyalty. Again, it sounds like one of those arrogant terms. Who the hell am I to say loyalty? I'm very grateful for the mods, but I think that the mods have said that this is one of the easiest channels for them to mod because most of the people that come into this room are the adults in the room, right? There's none of the backbiting. There's not, you know, we shut down the drama that comes in here as quickly as we can. So that's kind of my stance in life is that, yeah, I want to be the voice of reason. And I do think that it's a wider audience, right? There are people that like to watch train crashes, and that's great. But that's just not me. Have you ever unlocked seeing a Dianetics US booth there in the witness? So I haven't yet, but I will assure you it's going to happen. That there are too many. The Literature Fest that goes on in Printers Row, which is 1 block away from the church, right? If you've ever watched the show, if you walk 1 block towards the lake, that's called Dearborn Street. That is the heart of Printers Row, and there is a Printers Row festival there. We've seen several people have brought it up on the chat before, but if you look it up, Printers Row Literature Festival, I think is what it's called. Well, that just plays right into the hands of Scientology. That L. Ron Hubbard wrote some books, right? So there is that. I have come across them at far away from the organization, but they were street wandering at the time, not table done. So I loved, we saw Kansas City had an awesome experience. I'm going to say 3 weeks ago. Time is ephemeral, right? But there was the parking lot with the food trucks, and Scientology got all set up. And Free Xenu Project, Z News, Scientology Audit or Audit Scientology KC, Mike was out there. So, but yeah, those. One of the things that I really love about the idea that if they create a stationary place, it's really tough on them because they have to break it down because we're going to stand there the whole time. Similar to, I remember one day they set a table up in front of Austin, and finally the lady came to Pearl and said, "Pearl, are you going to be here all day annoying us?" And she said, "You're damn right I am." And they packed the table up. So when they do a stationary element, I would love that. When they're on foot and they're just wandering through the crowds, which they happen to do quite a bit, it's a little bit stranger, right? I got to follow him around. I have to keep a fair distance. I never want to have that stalking element, right? Just so everybody knows, I follow flyers. I don't follow people. If any of those people put the flyers down, I'm done following them, right? I have no care or concern to follow any of these Scientologists to their home. Do the protesters out there in Chicago have good representation like William or no? We don't have a William Good. Now, we do have Joe Cool Chicago, and he is a cop watcher similar to William, and he's a friend of the community. I wouldn't say that necessarily he's not out there anywhere near as frequently as William, and William was kind of that Scientology made an enemy of William. Scientology hasn't made an enemy of Joe Cool yet. The one thing I would say is if anybody knows William, please make a connection between he and I. I would love to try to be a little bit more authoritative and challenging, confronting of the police. So, right, MLH, William, Joe Cool, those are the people who I would love to emulate in addition to being anti-Scientology. Thank you, Corn. You might already be gone, but thanks for coming in. Loved the costumes. Oh, and we're seeing her profile as Kenny. She was up in Battle Creek with Dip Me in Glitter, Hellgear, Nance Drew the prior weekend. So let's see here. Patrick Skinner. Yeah. Joe Cool he's amazing, and I will say it's impressive. It's similar to when you see William out there and there's a crowd of police. William walks into it and the police disperse because they know the power of what his actions are. Joe Cool has that same presence here in Chicago. So really fun to watch him kind of do his work here. Okay. What other questions? If you can ask me questions for 30 minutes, we can stay here until we head over and watch OT 1 and 2. Howdy, Cher. Welcome in. Just a reminder, if you need any help, if you want to come out but you're not sure yet, I'm always happy to encourage people to come out to Chicago and protest. When we can have somebody at the door challenging all the people that are trying to walk in and the people that are walking up and down the sidewalk, that's great. But it frees me up to be able to wander around the community and try to find the body routers, right? So the body routers are the ones that that I feel most capable of making suffer, right? Let me ask. There was a good question there. Let's see here. All right. This is going to be a hard one to answer. I'm going to say that I think just based on statistics, there exist beings somewhere else in the universe. We can't be the only beings in the universe. I believe none of the mythology or the fictitious stories of L. Ron Hubbard. That I do not believe there's a target 2. I don't believe that when we die, we end up going to the implant station behind the moon or behind Mars in that space, right? So that's never been an issue here. Was it just yesterday or 2 days ago? There was the story on how Dan O'Connor kind of approached Aaron and his family about, hey, we're about to have a baby. You know anybody dropping a body so that we can kind of be a good receptacle for, or the other way around. So that was an odd thing, but yeah. None of the mythology of, and again, it's poor mythology in that it feels like a high schooler made up the story of the Xenu story, right? When in the 1950s, when the most modern plane is a DC-10, and therefore that's what you think that the future of the world is, that we're going to use DC-10s to transport people from one planet to another. Ridiculous. So this is an interesting one. I want to be the MLH. I want to say that I've never been arrested, but I will say that I'll have a good enough reputation if I do get in trouble in that situation. I don't think that getting arrested helps this cause. It is a way that, remember, when you get arrested, Scientology is going to work on the publicity of they were arrested, not on they were acquitted in that space. So I think that I could stand up to it, but I don't think that's of value. And I've always said that if I did get arrested, then that's a couple of hours that I'm off the streets and can't stop the body routers. So, hey, Thaddeus, I didn't see you come in, but I see others saying hi to you. So, Chicago, to my knowledge, does not have an actual Scientology school, so an applied scholastics school like a Delphi or anything of that nature. Now, Scientology has in its history, on occasion, been able to put their agenda in the CPS. So they have tried to put applied scholastics in front of the Chicago School Board, and at times it's actually been in the Chicago School Board. There are Montessori schools here that probably are using Scientology tech, but they don't advertise it as such. On the North Shore, a lot of the very wealthy Chicagoans are on the North Shore. So the very first donations and fundraisers for the Chicago org were up on the North Shore in Wilmette and Glencoe. Those are stupidly rich zip codes up there. So I don't think that they do have a truly Scientology school. I would imagine that they tend to try to get themselves on PTA boards, and then as they get onto PTA boards, they try to win over those boards and trying to pull the Scientology tech into those spaces. Why do Scientology members not know the difference between listening and hearing? Yeah, most of the time it seems like they hear instead of listening. Now, I'm going to tell you, I actually think they do know, but because of the training routines, they're intentionally made not to react, right? So the idea that anything that I say to them, if they smile, if they giggle, if they, one of my favorite things is when I wave at a, I see MLH in here. He must have heard me say that I want to kind of model him and say there's no value to me being arrested. So that one of my favorite things when I wave to or smile at the people that come forward to bring the shades down is every once in a while they'll wave back or they'll smile, and I know they're out ethics at that point, or they're not following their TRs because they're not supposed to show any emotion to me. They're supposed to make sure that I'm down tone all the time. So I think that they do hear everything I say. I will say that they're told not to listen. So because they have to be able to listen because they believe in what Scientology tells them, right? And that requires them to be listeners. My opinion, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a teacher, but that's just the way that I would look at that. That they're still, they're both hearing and they're capable of learning. Yeah, auditing Scientology. Again, one of the people that was in the Kansas City food truck fair when Scientology was out there. I think there's been several people that have, again, I am a never in, I'm not an ex-Scientologist. I'm just going to say that there have been many, we know that there are many claims of, by the way, Scientologists were never boring people in past lives. They were all Jesus or LRH or Elijah Muhammad or an ex-president, right? So it just turns out that if reincarnation is something you believe in, nobody wants to be, Mary down the lane is who I used to be in a past life. But by the way, Africa and South Africa are, the South Africa is the foothold for Scientology on the African continent, and the idea that during apartheid, LRH was very pro-apartheid. Right now, when that government turned against him, he became anti-apartheid, but he became whatever suited his purpose. So he didn't believe in the rights of all people to be able to self-govern. He really believed in whichever government supports me the most is the government that I'll want to audit. DC-8, sorry. I've been talking about Israel's flight on the DC-10. Yeah. Facts you, Dan. That's very funny. Again, just something I remember hearing on one of the channels the other day, that it's possible that the most hated person in all of Scientology is Dan O'Connor. So I just think that's cute. That's funny. That's haha. Yeah. The Airbus is a much better vehicle for that. Although, Patrick, I'm an American. We want Boeing. Do we need the Thetans to have door, or do we need doors for the Thetans to stay in? So, yes, make sure that you're subscribing over to MLH. By the way, an excellent cop watcher as well. I kind of want to tell you my recollection of how we all came to know MLH. We remember Jay. Jay was somebody who was protesting out in Denver, right? and on a certain occasion, he was arrested. And Jay's moderator knew somebody who could help with that kind of interaction. And that moderator called MLH. By the way, the moderator is Ellie. And I know that a lot of people have a toxic understanding of her. And I'm going to tell you, I think you're all wrong, and that's fine. That you can believe what you want to believe, but that Ellie brought MLH into this community, and the reason was so that she could help Jay avoid the police abuse that he was receiving at that point in time. And once MLH understood what Scientology was, it was not hard for MLH to also be anti-Scientology as well as a cop watcher. Mexican long hair. Yeah. I understand the reference. Very good job. Yeah, and Adam, I'm going to say that there's I put out a guide on what I believe are smart ways to go about protest, and by the way, smart ways that I find comfortable to go out and protest. I always have my body camera on, and by the way, I used to turn my body camera off when I would leave the scene. Now I don't turn my body camera off when I get home because I missed an opportunity in the train station once that I could have had in that space. And there are mods that know how to contact my in case of emergency folks, and my in case of emergency folks are well aware of who to contact if they need to, or if something goes tragically awry in the space. See a style audit. I'm probably late for that. I would love to. That and Clearwater, I would like to kind of see. I'm seeing third hand what's going on in those places. I would like to go visit these places. I would rather that we tried to figure out a way to stitch the community together rather than figure out ways to tear down one another. I've told you all before that as soon as we get rid of Scientology, I'll go after anybody you want me to, right? But until we get rid of Scientology, I don't need to figure out if we need mod wars, or if we need they wars, or if we need foundation versus foundation wars, right? As soon as we get rid of Scientology, I'll go after any one of those people that you guys want me to. But until then, I'm going to focus on Scientology. And I hope that's something that all of you have. And to an earlier question, I do think that I'm a connector. That doesn't mean that I would be able to, there are people that just aren't rational and they want to dislike others. So, but yeah, I would love that. And by the way, I'd rather come out to Denver. Denver is I love being in the mountains, and you and I have talked about this before. Boulder is a place that I absolutely love. And I like Boulder more when it's hippie. It's much more gentrified now. But to run through Flatirons or to run up to Netherlands, just really fun. Netherlands, very fun. Yeah, I think that if you say you're LRH, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble because you're just going to bring all eyes on you, right? So, I think it would be very scary to come back and say you were LRH. So, except for the grand opening, Scientology has not tried to close down streets in Chicago. I think that the ward alderman got enough flack for the first permit. Now, I will say that I think that the alderman was a wuss when it came to that he did not stand up in any way, shape, or form. He didn't back up the permit. He allowed the police to run roughshod. He never chastised anybody. He did chastise Scientology and says, hey, the next time you need a permit, we're going to look a little harder at that. To be quite honest, Scientology is never going to have a grand opening again. Why are they going to need a permit? They never, at Lakeview, they never did the Christmas Wonderland. It's something Wonderland that they do out there in LA. They don't do that here in Chicago. So there's no real need for a permit, I will tell you that I think that all of us will challenge that permit, right? And even we have certain protesters who are no longer, let's say, actively protesting, but I'll still say they are keeping an eye on what's going on in the area, and because of their background and because of their ability to monitor permits, I do believe that they'll probably make their presence known again if Scientology was to try and pull a permit in this space. So. Yes, please do sub to Israel Brownstein. Israel, great just a friend of community, right? He started out protesting without streaming. He was probably out here for a month, more than that, before he did it. So, yeah, that is, like I said, that if you don't need doors, I think Boeing's the way to go. I do like those. All right, now I feel like I need to steal those for a fourth wall shop. And then Fuzzy's shown you the guide to body routers. And again, my personal opinion, right? But what do we know about my opinion on this channel? This is something that I want to encourage everybody to, and again, my opinion, every time that I leave the org, I am making sure in Chicago, there are plenty of public buildings. I am making sure that I am walking into or out of different doors in different buildings in that space, so that I can make sure that people aren't tracking me away from the organization in that space. I tend not to put my car anywhere near the organization. I don't want them to have an opportunity. Right, we do have the allegations that there were both air tags as well as, I think, tiles found on some of the Chicago protester vehicles. I try to make sure that I don't put myself in that position. And I'm not saying that, it's shame on others for doing that. I personally just don't feel comfortable doing it. But I will tell you that I have a tendency to walk through buildings and make sure that I'm, doubling back several times, because, yeah, that. And that is one of the reasons why, again, that I keep that body cam on all the time. Was it LA Cam, or somebody got beat up in the alley going back to their car, and that was, again, one of those reasons why, I want to make sure that I've got a camera on all the time as well. Howdy, June Simmons, watching from Orlando. I'm curious. Does the mouse have as many problems as Clearwater with Scientology? I don't know if there's actually a mission or an org up there in Orlando. I agree. Right. Yep. Thank you, Pinche. Yeah. So, Adam, 100%. Now, I will tell you that the people that found these went to the authorities to try to figure out, hey, what's going on here? Because you're 100% correct. It is 100% illegal to track somebody in that way. Even if you were a PI, it is still illegal to do that. The police couldn't do it to you unless they had a warrant. You cannot track somebody in that manner, right? Now, the police have other ways of tracking, so they don't really need to rely on an air tag. But yeah, it is fully illegal to do that. My understanding is that for air tags, there is software that'll help you understand, are there any air tags near me that aren't mine in that space? And the air tag, if an air tag is found near you for a duration of time over many locations, you're supposed to get a warning in that space. So Oh, I got you. Because sorry, I was trying to figure out what Mike was answering, but apparently I see now Cheryl Burton. Yeah, that they have been able to corrupt some of these people in LA, and it's just ugly as hell. I love that Audit LA, William Good. I think there's one other. I feel like there's somebody else in LA that is oftentimes in those city council meetings or in the neighborhood council meetings. I've Nance Drew let me know that there's kind of a police citizens board that convenes here in Chicago. I've just never been able to find. I have been able to find the one in my neighborhood, but my neighborhood doesn't govern what happens down by Scientology. Okay, so the other Florida orgs are Tampa and Miami. Good. Yes, simply but again that I wish that Simply Michael would not have touched that officer, and I'm very glad that it went away. That everything went away there, and I do think that the officer drug that in. That was the first time that I ever. I thought that Michael was very much like we talked about this level-headed. I was so surprised to see Michael react. Right, but and by the way, I am not berating. I am not downgrading. I would say that I always want to make sure that I don't ever have even the hint of me being aggressor in something. But yeah, the cop poked him and then he poked the cop back. But Michael is another one of those people that he speaks so well when he is at those city council meetings. Yeah, I know that Jessica shows up, but I don't. Yeah, and again, I'm not knocking Jessica. I don't think that she's the orator that Audit LA or that Michael or that William are in that space. But she definitely is there covering it and trying to sometimes add levity, but making sure that as a journalist, right, that the meeting's being broadcast. So Nance Drew was tracking corn. There we have it. Breaking news. So, but this is right. That idea that says if there's an AirTag that follows you for a distance, you should get a notification from that in that space. Thank you, Oreo Ritz. It was great seeing you in here. You're right. It was literally Michael. Thank you. But I knew who you meant. And I think that I've started seeing him post again, which that's a very positive thing. So love that that's happening. Let's see here. Yeah, that it makes sense, right? The idea that it's obvious that they circumvent the process so much. So, and by the way, these are things that they make the police look bad. Now, it makes Scientology look bad and corrupt, but Scientology is bad and corrupt. It's terrible that we see the police do that. So, in that space, and then you've got the city council. It's never a good thing when you're trying. The old you can't fight City Hall, right? It's never a good thing in that space. So, one of the things, and by the way, I'm not good at tracking this. I'll just kind of show you or let you know that right here in Chicago, one of the earlier protesters, right? I just want to remind everybody, Trashy V12 BMW, he was the very first Chicagoan out here. That's not true. I'll say that Mark Bunker was out here in Chicago, 15, 20 years ago. And there have been others that have been here in Chicago. But in the post-William Good days, Trashy was the first one. But very quickly after that, Shannon was out there. And Shannon was somebody who was keeping track of that permit for the grand opening, and it felt like it was changing in real time, that there would be now it can do this, now it can do that. At first it was supposed to be right out front of the org, and then it gets a little bit wider, and then all the way down the street, and you can't block the sidewalk off in these certain situations. So she was somebody who was able to track that permit very well. Now, at the end of the day, as much evidence that we had, the police were not going to enforce that permit, right? We saw the older gentleman trying to get his Sunday donut at Dunkin' Donuts, and both the security, Blue Star Security, again, I'm okay if anybody wants to let Blue Star Security know that we don't approve of them backing up Scientology. By the way, there has not been a security guard there for 3 months at the org in Chicago. So I don't know if they ran out of money or if Blue Star decided there was too much heat to be in there. So, June, I wanted to see if I can get a hold of. So I need to get a hold of William for two things, right? William, teach me how to be a better cop auditor and how to confront them, and then also help me do the facial recognition. Yeah, and Pinche, I realized right after I said it that I was kind of saying that Michael made a misstep. I'm going to say the only misstep is you can't have the appearance of impropriety is mostly what that was. But you're right, and I do love that the cop stood up and said I was frustrated, right? And for that reason, everything went away very nicely, and my understanding is no charges ever came out of that particular situation. 100%. Adam, I'm going to tell you that the day that on Memorial Day this year, the police came and cop-splained to me that I can't go walking up to people and put my camera in their face. Now, I have never done that. I have 300-400 videos. You'll never see me doing that. Later that day, one of the Scientologists did that. And what had happened is I had my view of it, but we didn't have enough other protesters who had a good view of it to give me that wide angle evidence to show the police that, look, I was being addressed in that, I was being moved upon, but, we just didn't have the other angles in that situation. So. Yeah, I hate those planters as well. I don't understand how those are still there and why we haven't been able to move those away. So, okay, folks. Very soon we are going to see my friend Declared Dave, loves Suppressive Sherry. By the way, without Suppressive Sherry, that channel is never going to make it. Well, Pixel probably runs it better than anybody else, but when we end this stream, we are going to be redirected over to Declared Dave. You can jump over there now, but when this stream ends, we will be redirected straight over there. I really appreciate all the questions. Thanks for making it interactive. I hopefully this is an enjoyable experience for all of you. I like when there's questions and we can talk, right? So big fan of that. So. All right, folks, let's head over to, if you're still here at the end, well, God bless you. And please make sure you've liked, subscribed, shared. As we end the stream, we're going to head over to Dave's classroom.